Ni hao ma, my skating peoples. The second stop of the Grand Prix Series just concluded in Chongqing with the Cup of China. And Cup of China made me realize, like Madison Chock, I too need an emotional support skirt. It was a battle for the top spot for American women, Alysa Liu and Amber Glenn. Madison Chock Evan Bates and their third partner, Mrs. Skirt, claim gold at their season debut. It was the return of Sui Han, but it was the Georgians that were triumphant, and we could all use a personal cheerleader like Japan's Shun Sato. Helping me to recap what we witnessed this past weekend, please welcome the Baroness of Brackets, Kaetlyn Osmond. Kaetlyn, welcome. Thank you for coming back.
Hello, Asher. So fun to be back.
All right, let's start with the girlies. Taking the gold for the second time in 2 years, Amber Glenn. And the silver medal goes to her teammate, USA's Alysa Liu. And if you can believe this, Kaetlyn, this was her first ever Grand Prix medal. She has 2 world medals. She likes doing everything in reverse, I guess. And third from Japan, Rinka Watanabe. Amber Glenn had a pretty disappointing end to her golden run last year in the Grand Prix, on the Grand Prix circuit and pre-Grand Prix circuit. She was undefeated. Worlds was a little bit more disappointing. I think she was about 6th there, but she comes out like a firecracker. I loved her Like a Prayer Madonna short program, choreographed by another prolific Caitlin Weaver. The choreography was great. I loved the outfit, a clear nod to what Madonna was wearing in that music video. And I was definitely saying amen with this short program. But Caitlin, were you singing those praises as well?
Well, I was definitely singing along with the music. I am a huge Amber fan. I think the way she attacks her jumps and the programs are always so exciting. That being said, I've seen her Madonna program earlier in the year when she skated it flawlessly, and the energy behind it is so much bigger. And I find that happens quite a bit with Amber, is if the jumps take a little bit more extra focus one day, then you see the performance being held back quite a bit. And with the excitement and the joy that, well, skating to Madonna brings, you can't really hold back on that. And I find when it does, it stands out quite a bit.
Yes, and some of the standout moments for me in this short program was the step sequence. I love that little cheeky movement of down on my knees. It was a little sultry, a little bit risque. I absolutely loved it. But let's go to her free program. Again, she opens up with a stellar triple axel, but that triple flip, triple toe comes back to haunt her, just like in that short program. But Caitlin, she was flawless throughout the rest, a 141 in this free program. She was undefeated last Grand Prix Series, all the way to the Grand Prix final, only kind of fell off at Worlds. Do you think that she can do it again?
I hope so. I really want to see her progress throughout this entire season. I think each year she learned a little bit more about her mental health and the strength behind it. And that was obvious in her free program here, making the mistake or having to fight for the triple flip, triple toe, and then not letting that interfere with the rest of the program. That was the first time I've really seen her do that, and I hope that she's able to carry that through and trust herself in that way. And hopefully that leads to the second half of the season.
All right, let's talk about Alysa Liu and a sentence that bears repeating because it's so ridiculous. This is Alysa Liu's first Grand Prix medal. This was the first one. She has 2 world medals, a gold and a bronze. Insane.
She is such an incredible athlete, and I thought when you were talking about ridiculous, I thought you were going to say how she was surprised by the fact she made a mistake in the second half of her free program because she didn't know what to do because it never happens. And you could see that reaction in her face when she stepped out of the triple flip. Her face just went, oh, oh, wait, no, can't do an axle right now. So then she had to add it on to the next jump, which obviously wasn't a problem, but you saw herself giggle at, like, she was giggling about herself in the middle of her program. And only someone who knows they're going to land everything has that kind of confidence going into a free program, especially. I do want to see this program build a little bit more. I think last year at World Championships, it was huge and amazing, especially being in front of a home audience. I find early in this season, she holds back a little bit on that choreography, probably because everything else is so easy. So you sometimes just forget that you still need to give effort in some places.
Yeah, that Donna Summer program did look a little bit gassy near the end, but like you said, she was having fun with making a mistake and having to think on her feet, and just really excited to perform for her family that lives in China for the first time. But, go off. She truly is just a bright queen. Oh, it was a workout. It was a great workout, according
That's
to her.
her words.
I couldn't imagine. I just go on a treadmill for like 5 minutes, but she loves to do a free program. Okay, lastly, we got to talk about Japan's Rinka Watanabe. Gorgeous short program. That Moulin Rouge short program kept her in medal contention. She was 5th in the free program, but that triple axel was stunning. The energy she gave in that short program, beyond. And she also went for 2 more triple axels. She tried one in with the triple toe in the free program. It wasn't necessarily worth the risk today, but if she can nail it, she will be another threat for Japan's 3 spots. But let's head on to the men. And our medalist there taking top spot with such joy and excitement, Shun Sato of Japan. Silver goes to Italy's Daniel Grossel, and bronze is claimed by Kazakhstan's Mikhail Shaidarov. Honestly, this is his 2nd ever Grand Prix gold, and I don't know who's more excited, him or his coach. You just gotta watch.
Done it. It's a season's back by a long way. He's over 180 points. Fantastic stuff. That's what it means. The work that these guys put in.
It's incredible, and I want his coach as my cheerleader every single day. I think that would be super helpful, but I think my favorite part of that reaction also is his coach is this massive big reaction, and he just throws a towel over his head.
the juxtaposition.
Like, towel? Are you cringing because of your coach? Are you hiding some emotion? What are you doing behind there?
Definitely a little bit of both. We've been there with our parents when they're just way too excited, even though we're kind of also excited, but I loved it. And I'm really happy he brought back his Ladies in Lavender short program. His Firebird program is very poised, very strong. His jumps look easy, although he doesn't have my favorite jump air position at all. And although he presents, I still think he skates small, doesn't really stretch out, and he commands the ice and then doesn't command the ice, but very strong outing for him here. No negative GOEs throughout the entire competition. 5 beautiful quads landed in both programs. But let's talk about the silver medalist, Pope Daniel Grossel, his free program to Conclave. What did you think of Daniel Grossel's free program here?
The words at the beginning definitely caught me off guard. Just starting off a program and it's like, yeah, the Pope is dead. I have not seen Conclave, so maybe I need to watch it to get the full grasp of everything. But he was very focused throughout the entire performance, and I wish he gave more of the drama. He said there's a huge twist at the end of the film. I guess the twist is ripping his shirt off. I don't know. But one thing I do have to say, there's a moment of silence in a step sequence, which I think is a bold move, because when there's silence in music, it can do well in some ways, and then other ways it can deter from the performance. So it depends on how you do it. But it was really fun to hear his edges being picked up by the mics, and it is something that's just really satisfying as a figure skater, I guess. And then everything else was, great too, quads and stuff. Apparently quad lutz is very common in men's skating now.
You gotta have one, or you're not that girl. You can't sit with us. You gotta have it. But talking about that shirt ripping scene, it didn't give what it was supposed to give. It was a little cringe and anticlimactic. I also haven't seen Conclave, but I know Stanley Tucci looks really good in a cassock. But let's go on to the third place finisher. A little bit of a shock for me. I had Mikhail Shidorov winning this event. He was the first man to land a quad toe in combos, the second jump, as well as a quad sow in a sequence. And he is the reigning silver medalist at Worlds. He suffered from a lot of edge calls and under rotations, and I think that he's kind of where Ilya Malinin was like 2-3 seasons ago. He has the same firepower as Ilya, but his program components are still very much lacking. So Kaetlyn, what do you think that this very, very talented skater needs to do to keep his name up in the conversation, especially if he has a program like he did at Cup of China, where some of his jumps let him down?
Well, obviously his strength is his jumps, and that is why he's in the running for a lot of things right now, is that he is one of the top skaters in being able to compete with Ilya for the amount of quads in a free program. He's also keeping himself unique with doing the triple axel Euler quad sow, which is just absolutely insane in my opinion. But it's incredible to witness. But if he wants to keep improving, like you said, the components need to improve. With that, I find is also music choice. There's some musics that are just genuinely really hard to skate to. And when you're trying to get all these difficult jumps, the quad elements, the spins, there was a few of his spin positions that felt a little bit wobbly to me. And it was just the part of the focus. So I think maybe being a little stricter on music options and really diving in on the choreography and that focus will go a long way in him progressing throughout his career.
I agree, because last season at Worlds, I thought he was making big strides with his program components. These programs, especially the short programs, is fun, but doesn't really reflect the work that I'm sure he's doing at home in those program components. Okay, but let's head on to the ice dance. Your medalists from the USA, Madison Chock and Evan Bates, taking the silver, their first Grand Prix medal. Amelia Zingis and Vadim Kolesnik. And in third, my spooky, creepy, weirdo faves, Loporeva and Brissot of France. All right, Kaetlyn, let's talk some scuttlebutt about the Americans, starting with that Lenny Kravitz rhythm dance, American Woman. I loved the wet hair look. I liked the print. Was it giving you the 90s vibes that you want?
Yes and no. I love the print, like you said, and Madison always looks incredible on the ice to begin with. And I liked a lot of the intricacies and the way they moved throughout their program. At the same time, the hip hop rap moment kind of took me out of the 90s a little bit. But other than that, I liked it.
Are you saying that hip hop and rap didn't exist in the 90s, Kaetlyn?
No, it was different though.
I did like their little dance break and their midline step sequence. They did look a little bit slow. Of course, this is their season debut, so they're literally testing everything out. They got to go back home and work on it. But I want to they also had a little stumble into towards their character step sequence. He bobbled, and then she had a bigger bobble. So not perfect, but a pretty decent score, almost identical score to the Brits who won this segment at the Grand Prix de France. Now, before we get into the free dance, we got to talk about the fit of the free dance. I was goop, gagged, befuddled, another G word for confusion. I couldn't take it. This skirt, this outfit, this bolero jacket is just, she's gonna win best costume again. She knows how to do it. My goodness.
She looks outstanding, and I thought that skirt was going to be a lot to handle. She did say she has a practice skirt so that she could get used to it, but that is a lot of fun to work with. But I was scared for the free dance to see how much that skirt would actually get in the way. I've seen long skirts in competition and I find it like covers the partner's face half the program or is just getting in the way, but it wasn't. It was always very cleverly placed.
She
That takes talent.
Yeah, she put that skirt to work right from the beginning. Then she has their first stop. She goes bam, bam over both forearms in the combination curve lift. Bam again, out like a sail right on the music. She says, I'm gonna give the skirt all it's worth today. That rich red color, and it moves so beautifully on the ice. But, we got to talk about what they actually did. It wasn't the highest score for them. Level 2 for Maddie on the Twizzles. Straight line lift, also a 2. I believe they didn't hold the position long enough. And they looked kind of slow, even though I absolutely loved this program. There were moments where I found elements weak, like their choreographic step sequence. I didn't really buy the Matador Bull thing from Evan. Yes, exactly. It was didn't quite get there for me. Of course, early in the season, but what did you think of this free program? And of course, they were 10 points lower than Fournier, Baudry, and Cizeron in this free dance score, and they were actually 2 points lower than the Brits in this free dance score. So not necessarily the outing they want. You want to make a statement when you come out. So how do you compare Chock and Bates to Lila Fier and Lewis Gibson and Guillaume and Laurence?
Well, just in the direct comparison between Laurence and Guillaume and Maddie and Evan is the difference that Guillaume is skating his strength with Laurence, with that contemporary fluidity, and that kind of music really entrances an audience, and you could see that movement. And well, levels help also. When you miss levels, it makes a big difference. But now with Maddie and Evan, it's a stronger piece. It's a character-driven piece. Evan is portraying a bull, which I think he needs to be a little bit more harsh and aggressive to be a bull. And like you mentioned, the choreography step sequence with the clapping, I think it's a great addition. I didn't buy into Evan at all. He kind of had a smirk on his face a little bit, and I was like, are you trying not to laugh right now? This clapping, because right now I'm trying not to laugh with your clapping. But the rest of the program I really did enjoy. I do think it needs a lot more mileage, a lot more speed to feel that aggressiveness of being the bull and matador. I just don't see that aggressiveness yet.
I completely agree. I did love the ending, absolutely. Now, second, so with the silver medal, their first ever, Amelia Zingis and Vadim Kolesnik. They are so fast, dynamic, sharp. Their rhythm dance was the highlight of that event for me. The free dance, Romeo and Juliet. I cannot stand Romeo and Juliet in figure skating anymore, but they actually made me really enjoy it. And they had a huge score, hitting over 200 in their total, 80 in the rhythm dance, 120 in the free dance. This is a big score, and they have made a statement for sure.
I think they're incredible. That was such an unpleasant surprise to see them skate. I have opposite opinions about Romeo and Juliet. I love Romeo and Juliet on the ice. I think it's an incredible story. I do think like maybe they shouldn't have died at the end, but it wouldn't be a tragedy without it. So I was just excited as soon as that I saw it written that that's what they were skating to, but they even performed it so much bigger than I anticipated, and it was just really incredible, to be honest.
They command your attention, just dynamic. That opening assisted choreographic assisted jump where she lands in a position onto his foot, and then the little kind of kitschy, funny ending where they stab each other and fall. I mean, it's not funny that they killed each other, but you know what I mean. It was just really well done and had that lightness to it. Now, our third place team, Loporeva and Brissot, I love them. They are so weird. Eiffel 65 in the rhythm dance, Daft Punk as well. And then one of my favorite artists, Kaetlyn. I'm not embarrassed to say this anymore, Bjork. They skated to Bjork, and it was gorgeous. I love how weird they are. Their coaches have really fostered their difference. They're like how different they are compared to the other team, and I love seeing what they come out with every single year.
Their lifts, I never know how they twist and things. Can you tell I'm not a dancer?
Twist and things is actually a technical term in dance. You actually nailed that. Okay, so let's head on to the pairs. Taking the gold, Georgia's Metelkina and Bruleva. Second, Conti and Machi of Italy. And bronze with their comeback, Sui and Han of China. The Georgians, Anastasia Metelkina and Luka Burleva, they have only been together for about 2-3 seasons, and they just beat world medalists and the Olympic champion. They were strong. Their elements are so good. I don't really kind of agree with their PCs. Their programs are a little bit vapid, but they have good basic skating skills, but I don't know. There's not enough transitions and difficulty of movement, but all the elements they do are so well done. But what did you think of this Georgian team?
I think that they really command the ice, which is a big selling factor for me of watching anybody on the ice. I love her commitment in the short program to actually dye her hair brown for the program, because she said the blonde hair just wasn't flamenco or aggressive enough for that program. And then that headstand at the beginning, that just has to hurt the arms after a while, especially if the music doesn't start right away. Like their lifts, their power, the glide that they have across the ice, that's what I really like. I do agree that yes, there could be more difficult transitions, but what they do have is really interesting.
Yeah, it's always a great way to start your short program by corkscrewing your partner's head into the ice. But like they were getting to Bolero, and it was all top 3 teams had a Spanish flair flamenco short program, and I just found theirs to be the weakest of the 3. Now, the strongest of the 3, I definitely would give it to the Italians, Niccolò Machi and Sarah Conti. They just looked so fierce out there. You can definitely tell when an ice dancer has choreographed your program. This short program done by Matteo Zani. Just little errors on the throw in the short program, but in the free program, it was still pretty strong, but also very messy. Almost hands down on every single jump element they did. But what did you think of their program, and were there any like big highlights? Like I really love their entry into their outside death spiral in that free program, that loop takeoff, so cool.
I just really love their music choices this year, and I think going into an Italian Olympics, they set themselves up to have that spectacular moment in front of a home audience. Especially in the free program, the music keeps building and building and building, and then hit the musical highlights really well. I was really also, I love kiss and cry moments. They're my favorite part of the competition half the time. And she was looking a little bit nervous, and yeah, there was a few messy moments. So you could see her like biting her tongue and like not thinking they were going to stay in the lead at this point. And her and her coach were having their moment, and Niccolò was just on his own celebrating. And I was like, I like the diversity there of opposites.
Yes, opposites do attract, and anytime there's an Italian in the kiss and cry, I feel like we get a good reaction. Now, we'll talk about who was in third place. Sui and Han, this was their return. We haven't seen them for the majority of this Olympic quad. There was actually a really cute moment in the mixed zone between the Italians and the Chinese where Niccolò Machi and Sarah Conti were bowing down to them, showing their respects. You know, you could tell and see the rust of the past 3 years. Their skating was fantastic, but the elements, I think they're going to need more time, and it's time versus fitness. And Kaetlyn, do you think they can make it to their top selves by the Olympics or the Grand Prix final and Worlds?
I hope so. I've always been huge fans of them, but their career has gone on so long. I was at Junior Worlds with them in 2012, and that was their third consecutive Junior World title. So they've been around forever. And I was so excited to see them come back. I also didn't believe they were actually going to come back until I saw pictures of them on the warm-up practice ice in Cup of China. And I was like, okay, they are back. So I was really excited to see their short program. I think it suited them very well. It had those sharp highlights. They hit landing positions and everything perfectly on the music cues, which I love. It's very satisfying. The free program, you can see that, taking time off free programs are hard. They're very long, they're very energy taxing, and they don't have a lot of reps with it. They said they were only practicing this program for about a month so far. So making sure that the elements are there, but also memorizing the choreography, also getting in shape again to run these 4-minute programs. It is a lot. So hopefully with just more runs, that will improve throughout the season. But also their career's gone on for a long time. So how much energy do you have to give?
I have all the faith in them. I think they're going to be fantastic by the time we get to the final and the Olympic Games. I mean, if they make the final, because they did get bronze here. But so happy to have Sui and Han back, and you can tell the other pair teams are as well. All right, Kaetlyn, it's the moment of truth. What was your yes, ma'am, go chickadee popcorn, chicken nugget, whatever snack you can think of, moment of Cup of China?
Mine was in the dance event. It was the Koreans, Hannah Lim and Yikwon's free program. I love them as a team, and it was so emotional. The military and her facial expressions were just incredible.
Really great program. And my yes, ma'am, has got to be Madison Chock's fantastic frock. Just, it pays its own rent, and it should have got its own medal. It was absolutely gorgeous. But Kaetlyn, that's it from us. Let us know your yes, ma'ams in the comment. And of course, Skate Canada is next week. It is the third stop of the Grand Prix Series. There were no Canadians at Cup of China, but there will be tons of Canucks for you to cheer on in Saskatoon. And of course, you can catch that on CBC Gem starting October 31st. Ooh, it's Halloween. I don't think Kaetlyn and I know what we are going to be dressing as. So give us some suggestions and let us know what figure skater you might be dressing up as. That's all from us. See you later.
Bye.